Please welcome Missouri Realtors President Brian Jared.
God. Hello and welcome. You sound like you're as excited as I am to be here today. Let me also give a special shout out to everyone on the live stream, and thank you all for joining us. Throughout the week, please visit the conference schedule page at MissouriRealtor.org/winter for the latest event information. And to kick off the opening session, I would like to welcome Catherine Cole from the Greater Springfield Board of Realtors to the stage to sing our national anthem.
Would you please stand? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. Again, a very special thank you to Catherine. That was absolutely amazing. I want to now introduce your 2026 leadership team, all who I'm pleased to have the opportunity to work with alongside this year. So if the LT will please stand when introduced and wave at the crowd. Brent Sager, President-elect. Antoine Rhodes, Treasurer. Matthew Becker, Treasurer-elect. Derek Schriever, immediate past President. Our illustrious CEO, Brianna Vanstrom. Join me again for thanking them for their outstanding service to our members in our industry. I'm excited to share some highlights of our fantastic sessions this week. This evening, join YPN for Vision and Vibration, a Wellness and Vision Board experience. Then don't miss our Emerging Issues Forum, where we'll sit down with Springfield philanthropist and entrepreneur Doug Pitt and shift the conversation towards strengthening Missouri communities. Tomorrow evening, we'll have our state inauguration night, where I'll be installed as your 2026 Missouri Realtors President, and Carol Duke will be installed as your 2026 Women's Council President, Realtors President. We hope that you'll move around to the different output groups meetings, which are open to all members, to share ideas, provide feedback, or ask questions. You're also welcome to attend any open committee meetings, but please note, only those appointed to the committees are permitted to participate in discussions. That said, it's an excellent way to hear conversations firsthand and get a preview of any action items that may be coming to the Board of Directors. While many of you are here to help us conduct the business of the association, these conferences are another way for Missouri Realtors to provide you with invaluable ideas and access to dynamic speakers to help you grow your business. It is now my pleasure to introduce our featured guest speaker, Sean Askinosie. As we navigate life's challenges, personally and professionally, we often confront, recognized globally, not just award-winning craftsmanship, but for a business model built on transparency, shared profit, and genuine partnership with farmers across Ecuador, the Amazon, the Philippines, and Tanzania. His company has been named one of Forbes' 25 best small companies of America, and the Oprah magazine, called him one of 15 guys who are saving the world. Sean's mission-driven approach has provided over 1 million school lunches to children in Tanzania and the Philippines without accepting a single donation. Sean's story reminds us that adversity and transition aren't just obstacles, they're invitations to rediscover purpose. So please join me in welcoming founder and CEO of Askinosie Chocolate, right here in Springfield, Sean Askinosie.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Not so much a speech, we're going to just talk.
Well, I'll let you kind of start off a little bit, though, too. Give us an introduction, and I'll ask you some questions.
Okay. Well, kind of the beginning point for me was I was a criminal defense lawyer for about 20 years here in Springfield, and I loved it until I didn't. And not because I didn't believe in the work, because I did and do, but because it's high stakes, high pressure, and people in both sides of this world, both prosecutors and defense lawyers and police officers, can only handle this for so long, and 20 years was long enough. But I didn't know anything else to do. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't really know how to do anything else except prepare for the courtroom. And so I wanted something else to do. And so I had a prayer that I prayed every day for almost 5 years while I was still practicing law. It was a very simple prayer that went like this: Dear God, please give me something else to do. And you know, so after 5 years, we were one of the first bean-to-bar chocolate makers in the United States. Now there's, several hundred. But I remember telling my wife, that I felt like that it was an answer to prayer. And she said, "Are you sure it wasn't Satan talking to me?" We're still married. But anyway, it was quite a transition. I knew that I would be giving up a lot of things to leave my practice really at its peak. I was making a lot of money, and I knew I would make less money as a chocolate maker, and that has proven to be true. I've done this now for almost 19 years. I've done it really longer than I was in the courtroom. And so anyway, that transition was quite a ride. It was a very bumpy ride during those 5 years because I was really, I had a lot of anxiety about what to do next. I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, that I was inspired by, and I was having a lot of trouble finding it. And so maybe we'll explore some of that stuff today.
So, how do you see business itself? Not just the philanthropy, but as a powerful tool for service to others?
Well, for us, and this is an important thing to, I think, keep in mind. We have less than 20 full-time employees. So I think right now we have 17. Our factory's over on Commercial Street. And I think that business has a responsibility, especially small business in our communities, that we have a responsibility to serve our community. We have a responsibility to our customers, to our employees, of course, but I think we have a responsibility to the community. And when I built that thing over on Commercial Street, the Missouri Hotel was Springfield's largest homeless shelter at the time. Now it has moved to a different location. But there were 85 kids a night, 85 kids a night, children, homeless, with their parents. And so what I wanted to do was start a project or a program to engage those young people, but more specifically, the young people of the neighborhood of our chocolate factory. And almost all of them went to Boyd Elementary. So we started a program called Chocolate University. This is 19 years ago. And the mission of that program is still the same today, which is number one, to inspire young people that small business can be a force for good in the world, and number two, that there's a world beyond their own. And that started at it started at Boyd, then to Pipkin Middle School, and then in partnership with Drury University, your alma mater, we started a high school business immersion program. And for 15 years, we've been taking Southwest Missouri high school students to Tanzania to meet cocoa farmers, see how we do business, see how we buy and source beans from cocoa farmers. And we just took a trip, and you saw some of the photographs before we started, of young people from this area who met cocoa farmers, and they were able to get a front row seat to an international business transaction. All of this to say, we did all of this in the beginning, it wasn't fancy, it was just a project of the company with probably 15 employees, and that's it. Then we had the call from the farmers in Tanzania, in this village in remote Tanzania that we've been working with. I've been working with the same farmers now. In fact, I'm leaving in, a week and a half to go to the Philippines for my 55th origin trip since I started the company to buy beans. And I've been working with that same farmer for 17 years. But when we did this, it wasn't anything special. But then the farmers wanted us to build a preschool. Well, we needed to have donors help us do that. And we have donors help us take kids. It costs us about $6,000 a student to bring them to Tanzania. And so I couldn't do that all on my own. So we have donors around the country, and we finally formed our own nonprofit. It's called the Chocolate University Foundation. We have one part-time employee. But before that, it was all mixed together. So the very sort of highlight that I'd like to take from the answer to your question is that this doesn't have to be complicated. If your business or your group or you as an individual realtor, not with any group, see a need, you can just roll up your sleeves and start to fill that need. I think too often companies say, oh, well, our philanthropy division is over here, or go talk to this person, they handle our charitable contributions. No, I think it should all be mixed in together so that all employees have an opportunity, if they want, to roll up their sleeves and make a contribution, not with money, but just how they help out in the, and I think this is especially true now because I think it's important, and we'll talk about this later, but I think it's really important now for businesses and just people who have means to take up the needs that they see that are right in front of them in their own towns, on their street, in their neighborhoods.
So I'm going to jump a question, we'll get back to it here, but speaking about, you talked about your the Chocolate University, and you've invested so much in, deeply in a lot of young people. Why is to you mentoring and empowering the next generation so much more important to you?
Empowering the next generation is important to me because if I'm going to live out this mission of inspiring young people that small business is a force for good, then I need to live it. And when we've now been working with young people for so long, I also do it selfishly for my own warm feelings. So here's what I mean. The genesis of Chocolate University, and you could, I'm sure, if you thought back to projects that you've worked on, maybe decisions, big life decisions that you've made, you can point to a person in your family or a friend or someone who sort of inspired you and ignited this passion to do this thing. Well, for me, Chocolate University starts with my middle school teacher. We didn't call it middle school back then. We called it junior high, Hickory Hills here in Springfield. And different location, that one was bulldozed. But the teacher that I had really made a difference in my life. His name is Mr. Elmore. I still call him Mr. Elmore, but he wants me to call him Paul, but it's hard but he was my 5th and 6th grade teacher at a time it was really hard for me because my dad, who was a lawyer here in town, he was dying of lung cancer. and it was just hard. It was really hard, and my teacher knew about it. He knew about the chemotherapy and the radiation and stuff, and he was a nice man and wrote encouraging notes on my homework paper. I never forgot that, and I've kept in touch with him all these years. And he's the kind of inspiration to this Chocolate University work that we do with young people. And so you take that thread and then pull it through to this. In 2009-10, we took our first group of students from Central High School to Tanzania in this summer business immersion program. Now, some of those students and a student that we took in 2012 from Glendale who went to Yale on a full ride and then to work in Austin in tech, they're now on our board of directors of the Chocolate University Foundation and donors and travel with us as adult chaperones to Tanzania. That is about as full circle as that thread can get. That's from Mr. Elmore 50 years ago, pulling that thread through to these young people from around here who are now in a place that they could run I saw it myself in Tanzania. Students that we had that came from Glendale, they could run the whole thing. I could get hit by a bus out here on Walnut Street today, and they'd be just fine. They know how to do it. That's the kind of gratitude that I have, and that's why I invest in the future. Yes, I have confidence. When I see these young people that we work with, I know in my heart that everything is going to be okay in the future because, anecdotally, the experiences that I have with these really smart, driven, passionate, caring, kind young people that I see on these trips that we've taken all these years, that's why I do it.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I mean, the next question I have, I almost want to sit there and say you've kind of covered that, but again, one person, can really make a difference. And I mean, I think you kind of shared the question really is an example of how that ripple effect is firsthand. How one idea multiplied beyond what you expected.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's, I keep going back to this idea. We have 17 people, and we've had over 11,000 young people graduate from our after-school program in rural, remote Tanzania with one employee full-time in Tanzania that's Tanzanian. This is called Empowered Girls and Enlightened Boys. We've had this program for more than 15 years. And to think that all of that can be accomplished with one part-time employee in Springfield, one full-time employee in Tanzania, and to have 11,000 people go through this program. And this is where young women learn that they can say no, that they aren't property, that they have value in teaching them life skills. And we started a boys program in 2016. We have as many boys in the program as girls now. We have 1,200 students at any given time. And we pay for all the feminine hygiene products for the girls, because otherwise, when it's that time of the month, they wouldn't be able to go to school. They'd have to stay home. We built this preschool with a donation in 2019, and now this preschool is added on, and we provide all the nutrition for the kids at this preschool. And it just goes on, and it's with a very small number of people. And so, yeah, one person, just one little idea can be something that's meaningful in your life. And we'll get to this, I think there'll be some questions about that and why it's really important right now.
So people often support charitable projects financially, but you emphasize the value of being generous with your ideas and time. Why does connection and collaboration matter so much in the business of philanthropy?
This one I can give a short answer to. I know I'm probably all of us in this room have written a check. Well, we don't have checks anymore, but we've donated money to philanthropy, to charitable organizations. Maybe we've raised money, and I think that's great. I think it's really important. But I think if you have the opportunity to roll up your sleeves and develop connection with that philanthropy that you find to be meaningful in your own life and supporting financially, would there be an opportunity for you to volunteer with that organization and really kind of be shoulder to shoulder with the people that that organization is serving? It doesn't work in all situations, but it can really build meaning in your own life if you have this connection that's kind of what I call mutuality and kinship with the people that this organization that you're supporting is serving. And so I think that's really important in today's day and age, to have that sense of kinship, the sense of mutuality, and also it further perpetuates the meaning and the depth of meaning in your own life, in addition to giving money to the organization. I think it's very helpful.
So, as your company and foundation have grown, how have you protected your original purpose? And what advice would you give other leaders about staying aligned with their why as they scale?
I wrote a book about this. It's called Meaningful Work, The Quest to Do Great Business, Find Your Calling and Feed Your Soul. It's published by Penguin. And the best thing I can say about it is that for me, there was something that drew me to this business. And what I've tried to do over the years is have a practice that will not let me stray far from that reason why I started the business. Otherwise, I think if we don't have something like that, especially if we've been in business for very long, we find ourselves kind of lost without a tether to the reason we did it to begin with. So why did you become a realtor? Something drew you to that or pushed you to it. Oh, hey, this is a good chance for me to tell you why I'm so excited to be here and in Springfield talking to you guys. The spirit of my mother is looking down on this event right now, I think, with happiness, because I got my real estate license my senior year at Glendale because my mom basically made me. And she was working for Carol Jones at the time. That's another story. And my dad had just died, and she went back to Drury to get her degree, but she had real estate, and that's how she supported my brother and I. That's how she put us through college. But her thing was she wanted me to get my license, which I did, and that's when the Carol Jones office was over there across from Steak and Shake on Glenstone, and that's where my license hung. And then after I graduated from the University of Missouri, I went into commercial real estate in Dallas-Fort Worth. It was very competitive at the time. I loved it. I love the real estate business. My brother is in the real estate business in Los Angeles, so I really respect what it is that you do. I forgot what the question was that you were asking me.
And you hit that. I mean, because the biggest thing was just, the biggest thing is what advice would you give other leaders about staying aligned with their why as they scale?
Yeah. So me going to Tanzania is a great example. I mean, I don't have to go. I mean, it's 60 hours to get there most of the time. I'm getting ready to get on a plane, and it's not business class, let me tell you, because I don't have enough miles on Kenya Airways, now, this time when I go to the Philippines, I'll take Qatar Airways. I'll go right through Doha, turn left, and go to the Philippines. It's a long, long haul. But when I take these young people, there are other things I could be doing to make more sales in the company. And there's just me, the CEO, my daughter, Lauren, who there was a picture of us before we started, and she's been with me since she graduated from Drury when she was 20. She graduated from Drury, but that's it. And so I could be spending time calling on more Whole Foods stores to sell more chocolate, but I want to stay connected to why I did this to begin with, and it was to meet with farmers and to work with young people. My grandparents were farmers here in southwest Missouri in between Miller and Lockwood. Many of you may or may not know where that is, but they lived a simple life. They weren't highly educated. They were really hardworking, milking cows, having a garden, and I spent a lot of time there, especially after my dad died. And I didn't want to bale hay. I didn't want to break ice in the pond. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. Now I would love to have the chance to do all of that. But so this is why I stay connected to the farmer, because I'm honoring my grandparents. So this is why I still work with, I leave time on my calendar. I have a program called Calendly. Many of you have probably heard it or may use it. But I block off time every Friday to mentor alumni from our Chocolate University program for free, just to talk to students, to help them through some of these questions that they're having in college and after college. And it's so I can stay connected. One of the things that I say this all the time, and you can steal it and use it for yourself because I stole it, and I say it's not about the chocolate. It's about the chocolate. And this is what I'm saying, and I think if I were to just tell you that on the street, you wouldn't understand it. But having listened to me for a few minutes, you probably understand. This isn't about chocolate. It's not. It's about people. It's about farmers. It's about students. It's about connection, kinship, mutuality, family. And, but it is about chocolate. Because if our chocolate isn't award-winning, and now with 300 people in America that are doing what when there were 3 of us, we always won something. I mean, we're going to win a bronze medal at least. But now we're still winning. And that's very important to me because I want people to buy the chocolate, not because of this story that you've been listening to. I want people to buy the chocolate because it tastes good, and they think it's a good value, and it's quality. And so all of that is a practice. It's a daily, weekly, monthly practice of staying connected to the reason I did it to begin with, even though I make less money because of it.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You said you're a high-profile attorney. I know at least those who have, at least from the Springfield area, know or remembers.
Are you going to go?
No, I'm not going to go. Well, we're kind of out of question, so we're going to go a little bit, but not too much. But just. Yeah. But, you know, and he had 2 big cases. But my question is, why chocolate? In the sense of just more of, you know, of all the things you could do, how did you land on that?
Yeah. Well, I get this question a lot. In the beginning, when I would get this question, I would have a really, elaborate answer. And really now I'm unashamed to tell you that the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't love chocolate my whole life. I like to eat, but I didn't, when I knew I had to do something else, the hobby that I got was grilling. I bought a big green egg, then I bought another one. Then I started baking. Then I started making chocolate desserts. And then I was like, hey, maybe I should just make chocolate from scratch. I had no idea where it came from. I didn't know beans grew on a tree. I had no idea. But when I thought, maybe I should just make chocolate. That should be within a few months of that idea, I was in the Amazon, learning how farmers grow cocoa beans and how they influence the flavor of chocolate by the fermentation and post-harvest process that they use. But I think that why it was chocolate as opposed to something else, I don't know. I should have probably bought an Andy's franchise because that was available at the time. But I live right down the street here. Well, I could have literally been eating Andy's every day for free, but I didn't do that. I love Andy's. We sell. There's an off-menu product called the Woohoo Concrete that you can get at Wendy's with our cocoa nibs in it. And I should also tell you that Andy's is one of the biggest donors to our Chocolate University program and helps us every year. Carol from Andy's is just, and so is Andy, but they're just great, great people. But it's a mystery. I don't really know. I will say, all joking aside, that sometimes this is the way prayer works. we just don't know. It just works out, and we accept that, and that's what's happened with me.
Cool. So I think, we talked a lot about just kind of in general though too. So what makes your chocolate different in a sense? Because everybody's like, okay, I've had chocolate, and I'm not saying, it's a little bit unique. I think you see, as you said, to your point, you see more of it. But when you first came out with what you did, it was not your typical Hershey's bar chocolate.
Right.
So can you explain at least a little bit the fact of what makes the difference of it is, why it's not, in short, why it's getting the awards it's getting?
One reason is because it's just so few ingredients. We don't put anything else in it but cocoa beans and organic sugar. And we were the first people in North America to make our own cocoa butter, which makes the chocolate has a sort of creamier texture and profile. So we don't buy that to put in our bars that we sell. And that's what we also use to make white chocolate. We were the first people to do that in North America. So I think that the attention to detail and the attention to the quality, many of the people that make the chocolate with us, like our head chocolate maker has been there 14 years. And many of our employees have been with us over a decade. And so they are really good at their craft of roasting the cocoa beans by hand. It's not a computer and automated in that sense. But I think that's one thing. And the other is that we just haven't grown. You can tell. We started out with about 17 employees, and we still have about 17 employees. I don't have a partner. I don't have an investor. And it's just stayed small. And I think that is one of the things that's allowed us to focus on the detail. And when I said that I want to win awards, I'm really serious about it. I'm very, very competitive about it, not because I want to beat the other company, but because I want to prove that we're every bit as good at making a good tasting chocolate as we are at being fair to farmers. And the relationship that we have with farmers is we direct trade. So in many cases, in all cases, in the beginning, I would bring farmers to banks to teach them how to open a bank account in the jungle so we could pay them directly. Every year since our first bean buy, we've come back with our financial statement consolidated in their language. When I was in Tanzania this past summer with the students, our financials were in Swahili. So the farmers can understand the profit share that we give to them. We open our books to the farmers. And I think all of this contributes to the quality of the bean that we get, the relationship that we have with the farmers, and ultimately the attention to quality that we have in the product. It's about the cocoa beans.
So how did that, your first experience, going meeting with the farmers and saying, hi, I'm from Springfield, Missouri, and I want to make chocolate. How was that received?
In the beginning, and even now, for a different reason, the farmers are very hard to locate. Back then, there was Google. Can you imagine there was Google back then? 19 years ago, we think about it and we're like, really? There was? Yeah, there was. And you could Google cocoa farmers, but you couldn't find anybody. And so I used really one of the only lawyer skills that I still use and used then was finding people. I spent a lot of time as a criminal defense lawyer finding people who didn't really want to talk to me. So finding farmers, that was, it's a sort of like an investigative reporter, just turning over the next stone and the next one to find people. And ultimately, when I found them, there was a whole list of specifications that we had to make sure that they would be a good fit with us. It had to be a safe country, and now that's all changed. It's dangerous where I go in the Philippines because of the remnants of Al-Qaeda and ISIS and and Ecuador, I can't leave my hotel anymore because of how dangerous it is. So things are changing in that sense. But can we profit share with them? Does the government regulate their price? Are there beans of such quality that we can do something with them? And so I tried to get as much of that accomplished as I could before I went and spent money, thousands of dollars, to go see farmers. And when we did find farmers, we have tried to maintain that relationship for a very long time, because it's a lot more challenging to find a new farmer group than it is, having a good relationship with the one that we've been relying on for so long.
Do you see farmers continuing passing that knowledge down to generations? Do you see them? I know the concern here, of course, in the States is you see a lot of farmers dying out and stopping,
Yes.
and people not wanting to continue the farm. Do you see that the same issue where you're going?
Yes, we do, and I'm working now with the children of the farmers that I was working with years ago, which makes me think, let's see, what does that mean about me? And I remember when I was a criminal defense lawyer, I remember thinking I was representing the grandchildren of my clients, and I was like, it's time to go. When the grandchildren of a former client is in my office needing help, then it's time to get another job. But it's happening, and you're right. There is a real sense of the farmer, the young people graduating, wanting to move to the city, but it is continuing. Especially, I see it happening. There are young people in the Philippines that want to continue this tradition. I see it happening in Tanzania. I also see that there's a way for farmers to farm organically and have higher yields. And so even perhaps with fewer farmers, the yields will become greater, and I think demand will be met. I should say, parenthetically here, that, and maybe some of you have read about this, but in the last 2 years, the price of cocoa beans has been very volatile. And what I mean is, for 50 years, adjusted for inflation, the price of cocoa beans on the world market, which you can see on the New York Exchange or the London Exchange, was about $2,500 a metric ton. Okay, $2,500 for a ton. I paid more than that. I paid double most of the time for that. But 18 months ago, the price went to $12,000 a metric ton. Wow. Well, when that's your main ingredient, you learn real quick about managing cash flow. And people have asked me, oh, well, did the farmers give you a better deal? Absolutely not. I didn't develop this relationship with farmers so they could give me a deal. I wanted them to be able to get everything they could for themselves and their families and let us figure it out. And so that's what we've done. But it's been really hard. But demand has gone down for the cheap chocolate, the big chocolate makers, Mars, Hershey, Mondelez, these big companies. Demand has actually decreased. For us, we had the best year we've ever had this last year.
That's great.
Best year in all these years.
So where do you see yourself going in the future? What is the end game in the sense of how far do you want to continue with it? What is, if you had your wish tomorrow, what ideally would you like to leave more of your legacy? Not what you've done, but where would you like to leave it?
The legacy?
Yes.
Thank you for this. We're way off script, by the way. You are going to ask me when we get to the technology stuff.
Well, yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I don't believe in legacy.
Well, we can kind of touch base with it here.
No. I don't think legacy. I don't think about it. I don't believe in legacy. I think it's a trap. It's a trap to think, well, because my daughter, she's in the business. She lives in Austin with her husband and her 2 children, my grandchildren, Goldie and Cardinal, 5 and 2 years old. And I think, well, what if Goldie and Cardinal want to make chocolate, or what if they don't want to make chocolate? And we talked about this with your family business. You have a long history in your family, but I don't want to think, well, what about will happen? Here's why. Nobody will remember any of us in this room in 100 years. It's not going to happen. In 100 years, you will be lucky if your great-grandchildren might know where you were born. Maybe. Your great-grandchildren. I could talk to you for a little bit about my great-grandparents, but not much. Maybe 45 seconds. And I'm on Ancestry.com. I like that stuff. I research it. But I can't tell you much. What I'm saying is nobody will remember. If I ask people in this audience, who was the senator, who were the senators from Missouri in the 80s? Quick. You can't tell me. You don't remember. You sure don't remember who it was in the 60s. Who was the congressman from here in 1977? He was a big guy. Yeah, Gene Taylor, but nobody remembers him. So what I'm saying is, well, I do. I was his congressional page. He took me to Washington, D.C., and I was a page in Congress for Gene Taylor, 1978. It was one of the best experiences I ever had. It made me realize I didn't want to be a politician. But what I'm saying is I do think it's a trap to think I want to behave in a way today that will honor today, that's going to honor right now. The farmers that I'm in, the people, the customers that I have right now. That's what I want to do. I don't want to fall into this trap that if I behave in this way, then my legacy and the way I'll be remembered, because I'm not going to be remembered. In heaven, we'll all be together, and we'll remember each other there, but we're not here.
Very nice. So you read a couple of books. One, but you're looking at writing another one.
Yep.
So why don't we touch base a little bit about that, kind of your thoughts in the sense of this world that's affecting a lot of us. We know AI is here right around to stay to a degree and kind of infiltrating our business. So since you have a little bit of experience with that, and especially with our industry, what's your thoughts with us?
Well, I'm hesitant. This is our last topic, so it's going to sound a little bit like a downer, but if we have time, I'll have some good news at the end of this discussion. But I have really been very interested in a user of technology for a very long time, starting from law school, and was probably one of the first trial lawyers in Southwest Missouri to use technology in the courtroom and to use it really routinely in preparing for trial and in my practice. And I've used it a lot since then, and I'm always kind of on the bleeding edge of technology, and have been using artificial intelligence since it came out and was commercially available through OpenAI or ChatGPT. And my son-in-law has a PhD in cell biology and genetics from Mizzou, and is an AI developer in Austin. And so I'm really pretty familiar with this, but I also like to read about its impact and understand its impact on our society and how it's going to impact my business, how it's going to impact your business and all of us. And so my first book was Meaningful Work, but my second book is going to be about how we can have a meaningful life. Not just meaningful work, but a meaningful life in this age of AI and virtual reality, augmented reality. You all use it. You use it in your listings. There's these awesome, capabilities that you have photographically and videos and drones. Well, AI is here. And when I say here, this is what I mean. MIT published a study in December that modeled, it wasn't a predictive forecast, but it was a model that today, that AI technology as it exists, and everybody talks about how bad it is, and I can tell you a whole bunch of examples of how terrible it is, how it hallucinates, it doesn't give right answers, it makes up stuff, it lies, I can do all that. But even with all of that, MIT is estimating that today, 11.7% of the workforce could be replaced with AI. That's trillions of dollars in wages. So that's going to have an impact on all of us. Not, in 2030, it's going to start impacting us now. Big law firms, and I went to work for a big law firm in Dallas when I graduated from law school, are cutting their summer clerkships by half. Not because they don't have the money, it's because they don't need them. And they're making more and more money. And so the truth is, many of you won't be in the business that you're in right now in 15 years. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I have this kind of arbitrary number in my mind of who needs to worry. And you're going to be like, and I think if you're like 14 or 15 to 45, you need to kind of really, really think about what I'm saying. If you're 45, 50, you're going to be okay. Because you're going to double down and you're going to double down. Well, no, really, because you're going to double down on what you're doing. You're going to bring in AI and not be afraid of it. You're going to start using it every day. You're going to incorporate it into your workflow. You're going to incorporate it into how you respond and how you reach out to customers. You're going to incorporate it into how you write a listing. And you're going to incorporate it in how you edit the work that you do. You're going to help it. It's going to help you with numbers. It's going to help you with all kinds of stuff, and to not be afraid of it. And then it's going to give you time to do what you want to do and why you got in this in the first place, which is probably to help people. It's to help people often with the biggest financial decision of their lives, to help them through that so you don't have to mess with all the menial stuff, and it can be automated if you embrace it. Yes, it'll have mistakes. It will be imperfect, but it's going to give you more time to do the thing, what we talked about earlier, to tether you to why you're in this in the first place, to be the sane voice in the room, to be the anchor for the buyers and the sellers, and to stay connected with them so you can help them again and again and again. And so connection is going to be paramount in these coming 30, 35 years. So for those of you who are over 45, and I said, yeah, you're going to be, but you must be connected. That's why stuff like this is so important. This conference and meeting your colleagues and being with your friends and talking about everything from real estate and not real estate and your families and your children and your grandchildren, and talking about those things in connection with each other, connection in your communities, and being a solution to the problems of your communities. This is where you will be okay in getting business, you will be okay in the income that you make, and this is especially true for those who are between 15, you're not darn any 15-year-olds here, but those who are like in college now, and I mentor college students all over the place, and 45 years old. You are going to have to not play by the rules of the game that culture has set up for us. Who defines that now? You want me to tell you who defines it now? Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, and Anthropic. Those are the people who predict and give us forecasts. Well, what's going to happen? Where are the jobs going to come? I wouldn't trust them. Don't trust them. They're the ones that are monetizing this game. Think about this for a minute. Elon Musk has more net worth than every realtor in the country. Think about that for a minute. There are 1.5 million realtors in the United States. He has way more net worth than all of them combined. Are you going to trust him about how it's going to be okay in the future in the real estate business? No. So what I'm saying to you is make up your own rules of the game. Change the rules. That's how you win. For those of you who are old enough, maybe my age, and you remember Star Trek, Captain Kirk famously had the dilemma of the Kobayashi Maru. And how did he get around it? He reprogrammed the war game computer in order to win. So that's what I'm telling you. How do you do that? One of the things is, and I have a chapter in my book, in my first book on this, which is ask yourself this question: how much is enough? How much is enough? How many is enough Instagram followers? How many closings are enough in a month or a year? How many clients are enough? How many showings are enough? How much income is enough? It's a moving target, but if you ask yourself that question, then you're going to be training yourself. You will have the discipline to not play the rules of the game that are set up by Amazon and Google and Facebook and all those people. It'll be your own rules of the game. The other thing is to, as I said here, is to maintain friendships and connection. Because when the world starts to, because here's the thing. Yuval Harari, a famous philosopher from Israel and a futurist that I read and follow, says that in 20 to 30 years, there will be what is defined as a useless class. This will be more disruptive than the Industrial Revolution. It will be very turbulent for some industries and some segments of some industries over a long period of time. There will be eventually some kind of something in the form of a safety net. Somehow there will be a safety net. But during this transition, John O'Donohue, poet philosopher, calls it a threshold. That's what I had when I was practicing law, but I couldn't do it anymore. I had panic attacks. I thought I was having a heart attack. This is a threshold. The threshold is the in-between place of discomfort. You're not there and you're not there. You're in the middle. And it will feel like that for some of you and for people in your communities. It will feel like that. And so what you will be tempted to do if you like AI is to be hypnotized by it and treat it as an oracle. Please don't do that. Don't let it be the be-all and end-all. Yes, I want you to embrace it for your workflow. No, I don't want you to marry it. There are stories of people who are like boyfriend and girlfriend AI. Don't do that. Seriously, because if though you have deep friendships and relationships and connections, those are the people that will help you, not your LinkedIn contacts. They're not going to help you do anything. It's your friends, your family, organizations like this, where you're all pulling the oar in the boat in the same direction. So I think I am not. I'm concerned, but I also think it's a great opportunity. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to answer the question, who am I? This is the greatest question of all religions across all faiths and all denominations. Who am I? If I were to ask you, if we were, over here at the bar, drinking a beer or having a Diet Coke or something, and I'm like, well, who are you? Tell me about. You'd say, well, I am, I'm a realtor in Branson, or I'm a realtor in St. Louis. But are you? That's not who you are. That's what you do. I'm not a chocolate maker. I'm not a former lawyer. I'm something else. And the story I'll end with is this is the something else that I am. And I've traveled, I told you, getting ready to go on the 55th Origin trip. Maybe that doesn't sound like a lot to you. To my 64-year-old body, it feels like a lot. And I have had transcendent experiences in these places where I thought, this is very mysterious. What am I experiencing right now? It's transcendent. And I write about these. I talk about them a lot. But when Goldie's 5 now, when she was less than a year old, and we live in Austin part-time because of that, so I can work remotely. So my wife and I have a little place there. And Lauren and Scott couldn't get Goldie to sleep, and they needed a break. So we had them go over to our house, and I stayed at their house. And I loved rocking Goldie, and I still rock Cardinal. But I remember one night, she would not go to sleep. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and they had for those of you they have blackout curtains, they have a special sound machine, they've done all the research on sleep maintenance and all this stuff, all the gadgets to help kids so that she wouldn't sleep. But I remember it was dark, it was pitch black, and I'm in the little glider and I'm rocking her, and tears just were streaming down my face. Not because I was sleep deprived or frustrated, it was because I was literally saying to God, what did I do to deserve this? I didn't do anything. She doesn't care about my resume, about my books or speaking or honorary degrees. She doesn't care about any of that. But I felt loved in that moment. In a moment that I didn't do anything, in quotes, to deserve. And so what I realized is that I don't have to go to Africa or Ecuador or whatever to experience these uplifted moments of joy. That's who I am. If we got to know each other and we were talking over coffee or something, that's who I am. Yes, I still work every day. I work every day, even on the weekends. I'm working with farmers, I'm doing something. But that's who I am. I am loved. That's who I am. And that's who you are. But we got to get to this place because it's going to be a rough, bumpy ride for a while, and we have to see it for what it is. But that's why I'm excited about this, because it's going to give all of us a chance to know each other better, because we'll make a practice of friendships and relationships. It'll be a discipline, and it'll be something that we get joy from and meaning. So yes, it will be hard, but it will also be could be very gratifying.
No, I think that's, to wrap up here, I mean, it's a wonderful insight, because we have to remember, at the end of the day, our business is a relationship business. And the technology helps us, but we have to remember, though, too, when we have a situation that goes wrong, when our deals go south, our clients want to look us in the eyes and sit there and say, and when they go, is it okay, to sit there and say, it is okay, we've got this. And it makes a huge difference. So, I mean, and prime example, connections alone is what makes you rich. I mean, simply put. And so, there's not a better way to end the note on that, but I thank you for your time, your amazing story, your amazing charitable work. I mean, that's just beyond phenomenal. And we're so blessed, and it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Well, before we conclude the session, I'd like to thank you all for taking today of the opportunities to connect, which are prime example, learn and engage, especially on our valued event sponsors and exhibitors who I'd like to recognize right now. Will the following sponsors please stand and stay standing as I call your name? USA Mortgage, represented by Katie Aldo. Home Warranty, Inc., represented by Mark Emmerich and Matthew Emmerich. And Homes.com, represented by Dan McElfish. Thank you all for making this conference possible and the support you provide to realtors around the state. Next, please stand if you are an exhibitor at our conference, all who are listed on the screen. I think we have others. And thank you for being with us this week as we look forward to networking with you. As you exit, you will receive a drink ticket, and I encourage you to hang around for our President's welcome reception in the Conference Center foyer. This is an excellent networking opportunity with our sponsors, exhibitors, and fellow realtors. Enjoy your evening, and thank you.